Some stories are remembered because of the awards they collect. Others are remembered because of the obstacles they overcome. Robin Roberts belongs to the rare group whose life is defined by both. Long before she became the reassuring face millions of Americans welcomed into their homes every morning, she was simply a young girl who learned that strength is not something you talk about. It is something you practice every single day. Years later, that lesson would carry her through moments that would have broken most people. She would survive illnesses that threatened her life, return to television when many believed she never could, and inspire millions without ever asking for sympathy. Her journey is not simply about television or fame. It is about choosing hope when fear seems easier, and finding purpose in moments that appear impossible. Today, Robin Roberts is recognized around the world as one of America's most respected television journalists. As the longtime co-anchor of Good Morning America, she helped transform the program into the nation's highest-rated morning news show. Her interviews with presidents, athletes, actors, musicians, and everyday heroes have earned countless awards, including Sports Emmy honors and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Yet the accomplishments people admire most cannot be displayed in a trophy case. They are found in the quiet moments when she refused to give up. The foundation for that determination was built decades before television cameras ever entered her life. Robin Renee Roberts was born on November 23, 1960, in Tuskegee, Alabama, but her childhood unfolded in Pass Christian, Mississippi, a close-knit community along the Gulf Coast. It was a place where neighbors knew one another, where family traditions mattered, and where character carried more value than status. Her father, Lawrence Roberts, was an extraordinary man. As one of the original Tuskegee Airmen, he belonged to the historic group of African-American military pilots who challenged racial barriers while serving their country during the Second World War. His achievements represented courage, discipline, and perseverance in the face of discrimination. At home, those same qualities shaped the way he raised his children. Hard work was expected, excuses were discouraged, and integrity mattered above everything else. Robin's mother, Lucy Marion Roberts, balanced that discipline with warmth, compassion, and unwavering faith. She often reminded her children with a simple phrase that would remain with Robin for the rest of her life: "Everybody's got something." It was never meant to dismiss hardship. Instead, it encouraged gratitude, perspective, and resilience. Difficult seasons would come to everyone. The important question was never whether challenges would appear, but how a person chose to respond when they did. As the youngest of 4 children, Robin grew up surrounded by examples of responsibility and determination. Watching her older siblings taught her the value of persistence, while her parents demonstrated that true strength often reveals itself quietly rather than loudly. Those early lessons became the invisible foundation beneath every success she would later achieve. Sports quickly became another important teacher. Robin loved competition from an early age and devoted herself to basketball, tennis, and track. Winning mattered, but so did preparation. She discovered that confidence is earned long before a game begins, through discipline, repetition, and commitment. Every practice reinforced habits that would later define her career in broadcasting. The basketball court especially became a place where her leadership skills flourished. She learned to communicate under pressure, encourage teammates during difficult moments, and remain focused when the outcome hung in the balance. Without realizing it, she was preparing for live television years before stepping inside a newsroom. After graduating from high school, Robin enrolled at Southeastern Louisiana University. She continued playing basketball for the Lady Lions while pursuing a degree in communications. Balancing athletics with academics demanded careful time management and relentless effort, but she embraced the challenge. College strengthened both sides of her personality, the competitive athlete and the gifted communicator. When she graduated in 1983, Robin did not have a glamorous job waiting. Instead, she accepted a position at a small television station in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. The newsroom lacked the prestige of major national networks, but it offered something even more valuable: experience. She reported local stories, anchored broadcasts, learned production techniques, and discovered how every part of a newsroom worked together. Those early years required humility. There were no celebrity interviews or national headlines. Robin covered community events, weather stories, and regional news, building confidence one broadcast at a time. Rather than seeing the small market as a limitation, she treated it as a classroom where every assignment helped sharpen her skills. Her talent soon opened new opportunities. She moved to Biloxi, then Nashville, and later Atlanta. Each station presented greater expectations and larger audiences, but her approach never changed. She prepared carefully, respected every story, and treated every interview subject with genuine interest. Viewers noticed something that would become her trademark throughout her career. She never appeared to be acting friendly for the camera. Her warmth felt authentic because it was. By the late 1980s, national television executives had begun noticing the confident young broadcaster from Mississippi. In 1988, ESPN invited Robin Roberts to join its growing sports division. It was a major turning point, but also a significant challenge. At that time, sports broadcasting remained heavily dominated by men, and opportunities for black women were limited. Robin entered an environment where she often had to prove herself repeatedly, despite her knowledge and professionalism. Instead of complaining about barriers, she focused on preparation. She knew the athletes, understood the games, and respected the audience enough to deliver accurate, thoughtful reporting every time she appeared on screen. Over the next 15 years, Robin became one of ESPN's most recognizable personalities. She covered professional basketball, football, college athletics, Grand Slam tennis, the Olympic Games, and countless championship events. Whether reporting from the sidelines or anchoring in the studio, she earned respect because she cared deeply about every story she told. What truly separated Robin from many broadcasters was not simply her knowledge of sports. It was her ability to connect with people. Behind every score, every championship, and every headline, she searched for the human story. She understood that audiences remembered emotions long after they forgot statistics. That remarkable ability eventually attracted the attention of another network. In 1995, ABC invited Robin Roberts to contribute to Good Morning America. What began as occasional appearances slowly evolved into something much larger. Viewers immediately responded to her honesty, warmth, and unmistakable authenticity. No one could have predicted that the athlete from a small Mississippi town was quietly beginning one of the most remarkable careers in American television history. Even fewer could imagine that the greatest challenges of her life were still waiting just beyond the horizon. Robin Roberts never approached success as a finish line. For her, every achievement simply became another opportunity to work harder. By the mid-1990s, after years of proving herself in local newsrooms and later at ESPN, she had already earned the respect of colleagues across the broadcasting industry. She was knowledgeable, calm under pressure, and capable of making even the most complicated story feel personal. Those qualities caught the attention of ABC, which invited her to join Good Morning America as a contributor in 1995. At first, no one could have predicted how important that decision would become, not only for the network, but for millions of viewers who would eventually come to think of Robin as part of their own family. Her appearances quickly stood out. She didn't rely on dramatic delivery or flashy television techniques. Instead, she spoke with honesty and warmth, making every interview feel like a genuine conversation rather than a performance. Whether she was talking with athletes, actors, politicians, or ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances, she listened carefully before asking the next question. That simple habit created trust, and trust became the foundation of everything that followed. As the years passed, her role continued to grow. Viewers responded to her authenticity, producers valued her professionalism, and colleagues admired the positive energy she brought into the studio every morning. In 2005, Robin achieved one of the biggest milestones of her career when she was officially named co-anchor of Good Morning America. Sitting beside veteran journalist Diane Sawyer, she became one of the most recognizable faces on American television. The promotion represented far more than a new title. It was proof that decades of preparation, discipline, and persistence had finally opened the door to one of the most influential positions in broadcasting. Every morning, millions of Americans began their day by hearing Robin's voice. She reported breaking news, celebrated inspiring stories, interviewed world leaders, and comforted viewers during moments of national tragedy. Through it all, she remained remarkably consistent. Fame never seemed to change the woman who had grown up in Mississippi, believing that kindness mattered just as much as success. Behind the cameras, however, life continued moving at its own unpredictable pace. Robin worked demanding hours that often began long before sunrise. Television audiences only saw the polished broadcast, but they rarely witnessed the preparation required before the first camera turned on. Scripts had to be reviewed, interviews prepared, developing stories confirmed, and unexpected news handled with almost no warning. It was exhausting work, yet Robin rarely complained. She had spent her entire life believing that showing up every day was part of the job, regardless of how difficult that day might be. Then, during the summer of 2007, everything changed. Like countless women across the country, Robin attended what she expected would be a routine mammogram. It was something she encouraged others to do and never imagined would dramatically alter her own future. When the results arrived, the news was devastating. Doctors informed her that she had breast cancer. For a brief moment, the confident journalist who had spent years delivering difficult news to others found herself on the receiving end of a diagnosis that instantly divided life into two chapters. Before and after, fear was unavoidable. Questions flooded her mind. What would happen to her health? Would treatment work? Could she continue working? Would her audience understand? Even someone as optimistic as Robin could not escape the emotional weight carried by those two words. She had a choice. She could quietly begin treatment and reveal the news later, or she could do what had always felt most natural, tell the truth. Robin chose honesty. Instead of allowing rumors or headlines to speak for her, she sat at the Good Morning America desk and personally shared her diagnosis with viewers. There were no dramatic speeches or emotional theatrics. She simply explained what had happened, acknowledged that she was frightened, and promised that she intended to fight the disease with everything she had. Her openness immediately transformed a deeply personal struggle into something much larger. Across America, viewers recognized themselves in her story. Thousands of women understood exactly what she was experiencing because they had received similar phone calls or sat in similar doctors' offices. Others suddenly realized the importance of scheduling screenings they had been postponing. For months or even years, Robin later explained that she hoped her decision would encourage even one person to take their health seriously. It accomplished far more than that. Following her announcement, medical professionals reported increased awareness surrounding breast cancer screening. Many women later shared that watching Robin speak so honestly motivated them to schedule mammograms that ultimately detected cancer at an early and highly treatable stage. Without intending to become an advocate, she had become one. Treatment began almost immediately. Robin underwent surgery, followed by radiation therapy. The physical challenges were significant. Fatigue became a daily companion, and there were moments when even ordinary tasks demanded extraordinary effort. Yet she remained determined to preserve as much normalcy as possible. Rather than disappearing completely from television, she continued appearing on Good Morning America whenever her treatment schedule allowed. Some mornings she walked into the studio carrying exhaustion that viewers could never fully see. Makeup concealed many outward signs of treatment, but it could not erase the reality that her body was fighting an exhausting battle. Her colleagues watched with admiration as she continued doing the work she loved. They understood that every appearance represented far more than another broadcast. It was evidence that illness had not taken away her purpose. Robin never pretended the journey was easy. She admitted there were days filled with uncertainty, frustration, and fear. But she also refused to let those emotions define the experience. Instead, she focused on gratitude for skilled doctors, supportive co-workers, loyal viewers, and a family whose encouragement never wavered. Letters began arriving from across the country. Some came from women currently undergoing chemotherapy. Others came from survivors celebrating years of remission. Many were written by families thanking Robin for inspiring loved ones to seek medical attention before it was too late. Every letter reinforced the same message. By choosing vulnerability instead of silence, she had helped countless strangers feel less alone. The phrase her mother had repeated throughout childhood suddenly carried even greater meaning. Everybody's got something, Robin. understood those words differently now. She no longer viewed hardship as an interruption to life. It was part of life itself. Every person carried invisible burdens. Some battled illness. Others faced grief, financial hardship, loneliness, or uncertainty. The details differed, but the human experience connected them all. Instead of asking, why me? Robin gradually began asking another question. How can this experience help someone else? That shift changed everything. Her cancer diagnosis was no longer only a personal tragedy. It became an opportunity to encourage early detection, honest conversations, and hope during frightening moments.